Kyrie, take one.
So Kai, just have a newborn. I just want to know, how's your life changed?
You know, it's an everyday commitment. So family is one of my priorities, always has been. But my wife, she's a warrior. I got a chance to catch my son. And this was the second time we did a natural home birth. So I was the doula, I was the mid-husband. I was, playing every role that you can think of just settling the place for my wife to make sure that our son came here safely. So it's a blessing.
But what was that like for you?
It's part of my genetic coding. I was made to catch my children. I didn't get a chance to catch my daughter. She was supposed to be a natural birth too, or water birth. But catching my sons, it just feels like I'm just carrying on the ancient tradition that my family passed on to me as a chief of my tribe. When you get a chance to see that process, the birthing process, there's a different appreciation for women.
So you're a dad, that's a big job for you. How much lessons did you get from him that you apply now when you look at fatherhood?
When I look at my dad, I try my best not to get as emotional because of how much we've all dealt with, and especially him. And being the leader of the household it's not easy, especially when you have to be the mom and the dad. He was both a long period of time. And some things he just couldn't understand I was going through, and some things I couldn't understand he was going through. And that right there propelled us into the best friendship and brotherhood we have today. Because if we didn't go through those things as I was younger, then we wouldn't have been able to really celebrate what's in front of us now. We've gone through some tumultuous times in the last year with my beliefs and things that I've gone against or things I've stood for. And those weren't easy conversations in our household. So we grew tremendously. We definitely get into it. Nothing's perfect. No relationship is perfect, but I love my dad with all my heart, and I wouldn't be here without him.
When you talk about family, you talk about just what that's been like, since you got in the league at 19, how much, I guess, maturation, the process of life.
It's been a complete 360 just because I needed to go through that. I needed to go through a transition. I needed to go through failure. I needed to understand that this life is very precious, and the way that you treat others is really what you're going to be remembered for. When I was going through it in the public eye, it's one of the hardest, most difficult things to do. I couldn't understand it. I felt alone. I felt pressured. I felt a lot of anxiety, and I didn't know how to communicate it. It's not like we come into the league with psychologists and therapists right on our side to help us through everything that we need. So I'm just happy that I am trailblazing the path of my own journey with others that see mental health as a strength rather than a weakness. Having a strong mental platform that you can build on within yourself, it makes the biggest difference in your life.
Something you've done all summer, have communication with the organization. How important was that because of the summer that you guys had?
I said on media that I didn't have many options, and it's just because of my contract situation. It just wasn't my time. And if you're a business person and you want to wait patiently when the right time is to strike. And I'm not going to speak on free agency too openly because I'm not really worried about it right now, but I will say that deciding to come back to Brooklyn was the best decision I could have made. So the roster is really what drew me back home again, was just, we got something good here. I'm not going to say too much because we haven't been tested yet, but it definitely showed me that the organization was willing to work hard and do everything possible for me to be comfortable, but also push me to be uncomfortable as one of the leaders of the team. And I'm ready to answer that call, but not alone. I'm just ready to wear my different hat night to night, play my role, and enjoy it, because all these moments could be taken away like that.
So when you look at last season, you spoke about kind of that whole experience, and it was tough for you not being able to play.
I was still unhealthy with my ankle during that time, so I was dealing with something that was physically going on, and then also for me not being able to be around my teammates at practice or on the road initially. It was very isolating and lonely, but it also gave me a positive outlook, simply because I was able to be there for my daughter at school, and I was able to be present for a lot of things that I wouldn't normally be present for early in the season. almost every single day, nursing my ankle. That was by far the worst ankle injury I've ever had. I thought I broke my ankle. I still didn't know if I was going to be healthy enough to play into the season, and I did my best to hide it. I felt so close, but I couldn't be close. You know, I still felt close to the team, but I couldn't be close, and my presence was missed, and I missed the guys. I missed everything about traveling and building, and we lost out on another opportunity of winning a championship in this league. And I'm not getting younger, so time is definitely something I'm not a slave to, but it's something I'm aware of.
So how tough was it, you know, in that moment? Were you fighting an internal battle of like, damn, I want to be out there playing, but I can't?
It was an everyday battle, brother. Every day. Just because I have been playing basketball my whole life, it was a battle every day because I didn't know what my future held. You know, do I walk away from this and you know, live with the results of when I can come back into the league? You know, just do I leave the Nets completely? Do I ask for a trade? Do I give up on my dream itself, being back home and winning a championship? What do I do? I have all these goals, but I'm not in control of the situation, so how do I look at it? And these are questions I was faced with every day, and those were definitely getting to me, but I would not be here without my team.
You also said there's a stigma, right? And people want to put that stigma on you. How does that make you feel?
I don't too often get a chance to be on camera speaking as open as I am with you or with others, just because of how media trained I've had to be aware of within myself that perception is the stigma of I don't want to play, or I missed this many games, and I'm no different than the next person that's been injured or had to be faced with some life circumstance that they weren't in control of that took them away from their profession. So I won't sit here and say I'm privileged that I get a chance to go out and play basketball again. No, it was extremely, extremely sad to see how many people that I looked up to said disparaging remarks about me or my family or about the way I felt about my decision. And it's still going on to this day. And it's unfortunate because that pot of conversation around my name, I don't add anything to it. Like it boils over, it goes over, people are up in an uproar on whatever social media platform, but for me, I'm at my house with my family.
So when Kevin asks out, I know you were at that point dead set, you know, with your intentions and what your goals were. So how do you handle that aspect of it versus the decision you had made and the emotions that I'm sure were going on around you?
Well, when Kev made that request, I feel like we got better afterwards. Not initially, because it felt like
the world was coming down.
But now where we are now, I feel like we can honestly say we got better. We know the principles that are needed for success, but without going through some tests in the summertime or during the season, we wouldn't be able to be as close and bonded as we are now. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. He wants a chance to win. Give him his request. But other than that, I think he believes not only in me, but himself.
So I heard last weekend you guys had a team outing. Why was that important for you to spearhead that?
It makes a big difference when you spend time with your coworkers and you spend time with your teammates and you spend time with those that are going to be along the journey. It is a long effing journey, man. No pressure, no fear. For what? No distractions. Let's eliminate all that stuff, put it in the baggage, then we can deal with that in the summertime when we're ready to have fun. But right now, the profession is the most important thing.
Were there things that you feel like I could have done this different or that different? Like, how often do you look back at moments, even earlier in your career?
The one thing I could say for myself at that time is I did not understand the NBA business. I did not understand the industry that I was in, how powerful it was, how connected we all are. So when I asked for a trade from Cleveland, the one thing that I look back on is, you know, did I exhaust as many opportunities to get closer to guys when I felt some type of difference? There was just a lot of things that happened in the business that I didn't understand. You know, asking for a trade, I don't think it was my time to ask for a trade. And especially to go to Boston, who was number 2 in our conference, or number 1, it's just right down the street, you know, and I'm grateful that I had my time there because it was one of the most historical franchises that, again, I did not know the power of our industry, the Boston Celtics, the history behind it. When I reflect on it, at 30 years old, I can say I understand the business better. I understand the way that roles work. And if anybody, can sit here honestly and say like they messed up, it was me. Because again, if I'm saying that it's family run and relationship run, then while I was in these situations, I didn't handle all those relationships as I would have wanted. Now that I'm in Brooklyn, what I've been able to learn is like, this is for me, and I have to choose me in order to be better.
So when you look at your career, All-Stars, you won a championship, Rookie of the Year, are there any other personal goals for you that you're aiming for right now?
I wouldn't be sitting here being who I am if I didn't say I'm going for every piece of hardware that I could possibly get out of the NBA. I think my sons would love to look at it. My daughter would love to look at it. I would like to look at it and reflect on it and say that I put in those hours and those times that were unseen, and they were all worth it. There's a few defensive awards and offensive awards that are left on the table. And being one of the top 5 in the league or top 10, top 15 in the league, those are always great. But I want to be the last team standing. The individual stuff, like I said, that'll be pretty to look at, and it'll come along the way, but I know I won't go anywhere without my team.
Your sign-off, everything is all even.
All even. Mm-hmm.
Explain that. Give us the kind of the messaging behind all that.
Well, it's the company I'm part of with my mom, Shatalia Riley. I'll say that all even, it really is a communal place for us to meet up, for us to do business together, for us to break bread, for us to build relationships, for us to open up the ecosystem, for us to be there for one another selflessly. And as you see, I've included with her, and one thing why I signed with All Even was because it includes all. And all, or 11, is a synchronicity with the number I wear, but also it includes all of us, all walks of life, all backgrounds, all world everything. But you'll see it a lot more of us building out our company.
And when you look at yourself, staying committed, even beyond this contract, long term, I know how much you love the game. Have you put a number on, like, are you trying to play to a certain, is it 40? Like, have you thought that far ahead for yourself?
I am Uncle Drew, baby. I don't ever stop getting buckets. I don't ever stop pulling up to parks. I don't ever stop pulling up to gyms. I don't ever stop playing basketball unless I'm legitimately tired or I'm sick of it. It's a love thing with me in basketball. It's like sometimes I can get sick of it, just like people get sick of things they love or people they love at times.
And then you always go back anyway.
You repair it. You repair it, and you're like, hey, I don't even know why I left in the first place.